What is the biggest lesson that you have learned?
I've learned a lot of big lessons. Personally, I've learned, and through my personal relationships, I've learned how to stand up for myself and be assertive.
Okay.
Professionally, one of my biggest lessons is setting boundaries. I learned it the hard way because in my profession, if I don't set boundaries, I've had people where they bump into me at a coffee shop and like, can I ask you a question?
I'm sure.
I am going live on Instagram with talking about something very different. I'm talking about chakras, but people are posting questions. When will I get married? When will I find a job? And people don't understand boundaries. If you answer one question for them, they'll come up with the second. Well, then you give them your finger and they'll,
Of course.
you know, if someone wants your arm, they want the whole of you kind of a thing. So I think for me professionally has been setting boundaries is something that I've learned.
Me too. Because everybody would just pick up the phone. How do you do this on Instagram? How do you do this on Facebook? Because it's new and it's an industry everybody wants to get into and they know that I'm doing it and it's public and also then there'll be half of my day would just be going and helping other people instead of doing what I'm supposed to do.
True. And also, Alina, and this is something I tell my clients all the time, there are people wanting urgent appointments. And I'm like, listen, suffering is very personal. If you've lost a family member, it's unfortunate. Somebody else could be going through a divorce. Somebody else could be losing their child, or someone's family member could be critical. I cannot pick and choose whose suffering is more and whom I should attend to, right?
So how do you prioritize?
Right now, because of again, setting professional boundaries has been very difficult for me because, like, listen, you have to book an appointment.
Okay.
It's not so much about the money making.
Yeah.
But there has to be a protocol because I only have that many hours a day.
Yes.
That many hours a day where I can work. Because I'm also a mother of a 3-year. And when she's back from a school, which means no phone, no personal sessions, I don't deal with any problems in that space. So now in that many hours a day, I should be attending to people who've come through professionally, who've booked an appointment, who waited for 6-8 months versus someone who just wants to have a 1 minute to chat with me. So it's, like I said, it's come very difficult and it's not who I am, but I have to do it if I have to be sane. So.
To be sane. But you spoke about being a mom. So has that awakening helped further in your journey?
Of course.
How?
I think it's made me a lot more sensitive. And I am very sensitive and I'm ought to be. I've always, but this sensitivity is very different because you're dealing with a new soul and you kind of realize that every word you say, every ounce of frown or a smile on your face can actually affect another soul. What you say, how you say can either make their life or break their life. Like I think both my husband and me are super conscious about the whole trauma that goes around at childhood. And, like we won't even talk about her or compliment her in front of her. Like him and me will just not talk. Like we've just become so aware and every step, every movement it's a lot of power. But at the same time, you feel so powerless because she's gotten me wrapped around her little fingers, right?
Yeah.
Because in one point, you realize that how powerful you can be as a soul impacting another soul. And as a human, as a mother, you realize that she's still going to do what she has to do and she's not going to listen to anything.
And you can't control it.
You can't control it. So do you see the extreme polarity that at one point you have to go through so much and then this is a normal mother also must be feeling this way. But as a psychic, where everyone comes to me just to listen to what I have to say and then I have this child who just doesn't want to listen to me.
We know what is right for children, but then you have to let them have their own journey.
True.
Speaking of children, when you were a child, I've heard that these things are also, they pass on from generations to generations. Do you think that your ancestors, forefathers have had this gift and that's how it's translated to you and could to your child also?
Absolutely. I get this from my mother's side.
Okay.
My Nani is very, very learned. Like for me, going to Nani's house means reading her stash of Osho cassettes and Osho books. I started reading Osho by the time I was 10, 12.
Okay.
My mom's extremely intuitive.
Okay.
My Masi is a healer and a life coach herself. My mom's she's a very powerful healer, very intuitive, but she really never tapped into it professionally.
Okay.
I think I was the first, like, I kind of tapped into it professionally. And coming to my daughter, she is definitely very intuitive, very gifted. Whether she takes that path professionally or not, only time will tell. I will not want to impose it on her. Let her, she's here for her own journey. So I'll support whatever that is.
At what point did you come to know that this is your calling and this is what you want to do even professionally?
Professionally, I think I was 22, 23 when an article I'd written for Times of India changed my life. Before that, I was a fashion designer. And by then, I was already initiated into my gifts. But at the age of 22, and this is, I'm talking about like years ago, no one really thought that being a psychic was a profession.
Yes.
Up until 6 years ago, right? It's only post-COVID is when people have become more aware. So people would, अच्छा तू काला जादू करती है, अच्छा तू भूतों से बात करती है. Like people had that kind of a notion. And for me to kind of break through that was very difficult. But coming back at 22, 23 is when I realized I need to take this up.
Okay, what was the Times of India article that changed your life?
So I'd written for Speaking Tree column, and it was an article on angels and spirit guides and the role that they play, and it was way ahead of its time. And that article, in less than 4 days, I had over 700 emails from all across India.
Okay.
Because that article gets published in 26 different languages, right?
Okay.
Across
Yes.
India. And then people called me saying, we want to do workshops, we want to know more, we want to come for, they had questions about life. And then I got a call saying, we have a group of 40 people and you tell us when you're coming, we want to do a workshop with you on angel therapy. And that's when I designed like the whole angel therapy psychic healing workshop. And I just flew in and I was pushed into a room. I was 23 and everyone else was 35, 50, 60 and wanting to learn from me. And I think just after that is when I was like, I need to do this professionally because there's so much I have to share with the world. And if I'm getting a platform, why not?
What path did you take to make it professional? Because I'm sure there's no books or course or, universities that...
So I started doing I started doing group sessions. I've done over 700-800 workshops. And then it came down to one-on-one.
Okay.
So